Recording in progress.
Hello, welcome to December. Martina Galvan here, just bringing you the December newsletter for Nature Awakens and all things, all things. So let's jump in with the theme for December, which I'm going with seeds as our spiritual teachers, right? So we're moving into the winter season, which officially begins in December around the 21st for the solstice. And that's for us in the Northern Hemisphere. So that's going to be the longest night of the year. So I'm sure you've noticed our days are getting shorter bit by bit. Once we hit the 21st, that's the shortest they get. And then we start to reverse that pattern and we start to extend our days all the way until we're moving into the next solstice. But anyways, so December, things are getting dark, things are getting cold, things might be feeling a little like, ugh, dark and cold. And for nature, right, which we are animals of this planet, animals, seeds, plant life, like everyone's starting to do things a little bit differently. And so we can take some wisdom from that as well. So, seeds as teachers, what do I mean by that? So, seeds dropping into dormancy, dropping into the ground to tuck away, to conserve energy, and to get still over the winter season. All right. So, when we think about that for ourselves, winter can be kind of busy around that December time. You know, we've got a lot of holidays, we've got celebrations worldwide of people, celebrating this return of the light, right? So the sun coming back into its full day. So we hit our darkest night again on the 21st, but you see this theme worldwide and cross culturally of people celebrating the return of the sun with the winter solstice. So there is a lot of action kind of going around, but at the same time, it is still the season to tuck away, to respect silence, to treat retreats as sacred time, and to not think of this as wasted time, but it's part of the greater cycle. So if you notice yourself run, 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 productive, productive, that isn't really the alignment of energy for winter. The energy of winter is to rest, to be still, to calm down. So it's a good time to shed some of those things. It's a good time to start saying no to things that you don't wholeheartedly feel like you want to do and to start prioritizing that alone time, right? So treating that period as sacred. So the other thing for seeds is that they go through cold stratification. And that means that when they're in the ground, they have to be really cold to be able to start the spring season. And that cold, I mean, if I were a seed, it doesn't feel good, right? So by that, I mean, it's kind of a harsh thing, right? Winter's kind of harsh. It's like in the animal world, food is scarce, water is scarce, warmth is scarce, right? There's a vibe of scarcity, right? And so we can take that lesson for us as well as humans, remembering that transformation and growth doesn't come without those hard periods. It's not the way life works, all right? And that's the beauty of getting to watch nature. It comes through difficult times. That is the way that we learn. That is the way that we grow, right? It's just not the way to be handed something and be like on a silver platter and think, oh yeah, I learned all my lessons there. I can almost guarantee you that the biggest lessons that you learned in your life were through difficulty, through challenge, through stress. And not like the bad stress, but like the good stress, kind of like when we're working out and we stress our muscles and they become bigger, right? So just remembering that. And also in the winter season, knowing that the stuff is happening underneath the surface, right? So the seeds in the ground are preparing for spring, but we don't see them. So it may look bleak, it may look cold, it may look barren out there in the winter fields, but it's not, right? Seeds are changing, they're visualizing, they're manifesting, whatever word you want to use there. They are producing underneath the soil, but it can be hard to remember that that's happening. And that's the same lesson we can take for ourselves, right? growth, we don't always see it on the surface until we've already moved on a few seasons, and then we go, oh yeah, I really grew that year, I remember. But in the midst of it, it can be hard to keep that faith, to keep that hope that we're going to come out of this, right? So winter reminds us that that's happening under the surface, and it might feel dark for you, for us at that time. Winter can be challenging, right? People have difficulties with the shorter days and the less sunlight and things like that. So, how do you remember that this is a part of the cycle, that this will pass? That how do you keep that faith, right? That hope when things are looking wintry, looking barren.
Recording in progress.
And so seeds, they don't resist the cold. They yield to it. They surrender, right? So winter teaches that cycle of surrender, and that cycle will come back around. There's always a spring after winter. Okay, remember that. There's always a spring after winter. The cycle always continues. And so if you're feeling like you're in a winter, tell yourself there's always a spring after winter. Remember that. Remember that there's a faith in the nature of things, the cyclical nature of things, and we see that, right? And just remembering this time is, we're not a summer all year round. You know, we're not meant to be go, 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 productive, productive, productive all year round. We're meant to have real rest. And so this time can prepare you for spring, for that vitality, for when you're ready to come back out and reemerge.
Recording in progress.
And so with that, I want to transition into our couple things for the month, right? So we have moon ceremonies for December. We have the full moon on December 4th, 5 Pacific, 7 Central, gathering online. You can get your tickets at martinagalvan.com. And we also have the new moon on December 19th at 8 a.m. Pacific and 10 a.m. Central. And we do those new moons in the morning because that's when the moon rises on that cycle. That's why you can't see it, because it rises with the sun. So, and the 19th will be kind of tinkering with those themes of solstice to kind of get a little bit introspective on that. Also, we have book club. So book club is starting in January 11th. I'll send out a flyer with the details, but we'll be reading Mind Beyond Death by Zochin Ponlop Rinpoche. Pardon my pronunciation, but let me just read you a quick blurb on that from the internet so you know what it's about, because I have not read it yet. So it's a profound yet accessible guide to Tibetan Buddhist teachings on life, death, and the transitions in between. So with warmth, humor, and clarity, the book explores the 6 bardos, the states of consciousness between waking and sleeping, between living and dying, and beyond. And they show us how they can help us live with fearless awareness and prepare for death as a continuation of life. And you can see why I picked that, because winter is a season of death when we look at the cycle. But after death, rebirth, right? Through spring, whether that's literal, death into the soil, become compost and then bringing out new buds, or metaphorical. And so I thought that this book club, it touches into the Tibetan wisdoms on how to prepare for death while you're alive by looking at those different levels of awareness and consciousness. And so this is a book club that is a women's spiritually focused book club. It is open to all. I will send out the flyer with the dates and things like that so you can be better prepared. And just let me know if that's something that you're interested in, and I'll sign you up. And it's a free offering. And so we will end it there. I'm sending you so much love this winter season, and I'll touch base with you soon.